Thanks for joining us this week on the show. I've got a short and sweet conversation with Yvonne McCoy. She brings her years of experience and wisdom to the topic of women in business, helping them feel more productive and really look at the long game of legacy. What is the legacy that you want to create in this stage where you are and in the different stages of our lives? I know you're going to get a lot out of this conversation, so happy to have you with us. Living in a stressful world doesn't mean you have to give up on happiness. Instead, you can shift your perspective of stress and discover how to live your life in flow. Welcome to Happified. I'm your host, Susie Vine. Join me for inspiration and interviews with folks who are shining their light in the world in the areas of positive mindset, health, and wellness. I'm so happy to have you here. What if you could maximize your meditation practice with a tool that maximizes your time and attention with images and affirmations carefully selected to boost your positivity, to help you integrate your intentions into your subconscious? I have a special gift available for you. Visit happifiedlife.com and click on the Start Off Happy button to take a look at the phenomenal technology created by Positive Prime that uses neuroplasticity to literally wire your brain for more happiness, higher productivity, better relationships, and greater success. Head over to the happifiedlife.com page to start off happy with Positive Prime. Enjoy it free for 30 days. Welcome back. I'm so happy to have you with us today for another short, sweet conversation from the Podatorium. I am here with Yvonne McCoy at Podapalooza. We have just connected, and I'm really excited to explore some of her topics and expertise with you. So let me share a little bit. Yvonne McCoy is a women's business strategist. She helps women entrepreneurs grow their impact and income with productivity strategies. With new clarity about constant uncertainty, clients maximize their powerful genius and talents to step into their CEO mindset. Yvonne, thank you for joining me on the show. I want to dive right in, so you'll get to tell us a little bit more that I didn't even get to scratch the surface in your bio. But you're joining me from Philadelphia on the East Coast. I'm bringing the West Coast to the conversation. Mm-hmm. And how did you get into this space, first of all, of helping women entrepreneurs, and where do you see some common points of struggle that you're always helping your clients out of the weeds with?
Well, I think one of the reasons that I help women entrepreneurs is because we are always balancing business and life. And there's an incredible amount of stress and feel regret that you're not being a good, wife or mother or whatever. And it always amazes me, when I talk to my women clients. I'll say to them, okay, what did you get that was the most helpful? And, I have an MBA from Wharton. So I kind of wanted them to say, you gave me this great business strategy. And they'll say things like, that tip that you gave me about how to handle cooking is really helpful. I mean, just, because here's the bottom line. Nobody has more than 24 hours a day. No matter what you do, that's it, right? And it's renewable. Once a day is gone, it's gone. And so the real issue is, where am I going to put my time? And that's why in my course, The One Small Change, I talk about your legacy. What do you want to be remembered for? You don't want to be remembered that you spent all night writing a proposal and you missed your kids' play. I mean, that's not, so your productivity has to happen both in your business and in your personal life. It's this is a really old analogy, but it's like a waterbed. It's an enclosed system. You push on it one place and something happens someplace else. You don't know when you're going to get that call from the nurse. You don't know when something's going to happen with your parents, which is what I went through 3 years of, my parents lived to be 94. And there was that 3-year period where basically all I was doing was maintaining my business and being thrilled that I had a client to talk to so I didn't have to think about what I had to do for my parents. And so one of the first things that I teach is situational awareness. There's a wonderful model that has to do with women, and men kind of go through it too, but it's basically, you start out as a child, and that's where you get all your beliefs. And unfortunately, a lot of those beliefs are there because your parents want to keep you safe, and they make us women risk averse, right? And then you get into the nurturing stage, and that can be nurturing your career, nurturing your kids, nurturing your pets, whatever. And then you go into what's called the warrior stage. Okay. And that's where you say, okay, I'm ready to, do something. There's something missing. I'm ready to do something. Okay. And for a lot of us, a lot of that gets stunted somewhat because our parents are living longer. And, so now it's like you are in that sandwich generation. You've got kids, and my new joke is I have two adult women, girls, women, and I tell anybody who has daughters, please make sure your girls find companions that are handy for fixing things, because mine don't, and my husband spends all his time running to their house fixing things, right? So you're into that stage. And what I've realized for myself is I have now moved into a little bit further than that, into what I consider the mentor stage. There are people who can learn from me. And some of that learning is just the simplest everyday things. It's all right to have a dust ball, if your time is better spent making you several $1,000s. It's not about the money, it's what you can change. You make that money so your kid can go to a great camp. For me, several years ago, I took my family to Mexico. It was the most amazing thing. I mean, I never thought about that years ago, that I would wanted to do something like that, but I wanted to spend time with my husband, with my kids, and with my grandkids. And the other tip is don't let one of your kids plan the trip, because she had a champagne budget and I had a beer pocketbook. But we ended up at this villa in Mexico on the beach with a concierge, with a pool. I mean, it was like you can't go back. You can't say no, I'll take a little little place, right? So situational awareness is knowing kind of where you are in life and what's important to you right then, so that it still builds on, what you want to be remembered for. Okay. And it takes the stress out of it, because it makes it much easier to prioritize. What do I want to do? Do I want to spend time doing this? Do I want to spend time doing that? And then we come up with strategies to do that. Um, and having some processes in place gets rid of that stress, whether that is I have a backup babysitter to my babysitter, whether that's having the conversation that I had with my husband that said, for 4 days, I'm going to be in morning to night trainings and things. Pretend you're single, and I'll see you on Monday on the other side, and we'll do something. Okay. Whatever it happens to be. So that to me is where productivity comes into having a less stressful life and still doing the things that you enjoy and having energy.
Yes, I think that unfortunately, a lot of us maybe have been raised and watched models, successfully or unsuccessfully, power through and say, I'll get my chance to rest later. I'll come back to that. I'll get to take that nice vacation with the family when I retire. Unfortunately, we all know stories where that didn't play out, where we didn't
Yes.
get to enjoy that opportunity. And so I love that you are, first of all, identifying these different stages, because we do move through some very significant stages of just our own maturity and energy levels and perspective. And what's important is going to change, of course, with that over time. and being present to what is most important right now and how do I want that to be reflected in my life? How much do I want to enjoy that, right?
Yes.
Sometimes we have to push, sometimes we have to put in some long hours for different seasons or maybe different
Hmm.
phases along the way. I didn't have my own kids, I have a stepdaughter, so my hat is always off to women who raise children. And then I also see reflected in my friends, society again, those expectations. There's criticisms if you choose to stay home with your children. There's criticisms if you choose to leave
Right.
the house and maintain your career. You can't win for trying. So why not get clear on what is most important for
Hmm.
you?
Hmm. Absolutely. I mean, there are. I remember when I was in graduate school, I had a final, and that morning my daughter was sick, and my husband was working, and I literally trucked her to the school, sat her on a bench outside across from a bathroom, and said, "If you have to throw up, go in there. I'll only be an hour." I don't know that I would have. I don't know that I would do that now, but the point of it was that I think the thing that made a difference was that we always talked about as a family, how we needed to support each other and how we needed to do things together. And my kids are, like I said, they are adults. So they tell me where I went wrong. So I have good feedback for other people. But yeah, there were times when you just, I mean, again, when I was in graduate school, I remember one of the fondest memories I had of my mom was, who was a difficult woman, was my mother always made me handmade Halloween costumes. I mean, these really amazing Halloween costumes. And I remember I was like, I'm in school. I'm not doing this. I'm going to the store. I'm buying a costume. And it looked like a bag with a picture on it. And I was like, I can't do this. I can't do this. And ended up spending an inordinate amount of time making these costumes for my kids. And they are in their 40s and they still talk about it. That it was one of the best things. It was time so well spent creating memories for them. But I think that, and as I had other jobs, I had my kids work in my business with me. I mean, they said it was child labor, but
Of course they did.
but it's a place of, having caretakers and stuff like that. But the thing is, I think that when you know what you want to be remembered for, and you realize that, I was brought up to believe, you're a power woman, you can do everything. And what I realize is you can do everything. You just can't do it all at the same time.
I love
And
it.
so you just kind of have to pick and choose, and you get to do that. That's your power, is that you get to pick and choose. So I think that I've learned a great deal about stress, and I'm not beyond saying, if you need a pharmaceutical. I mean, my doctor said to me, "Do you have anxiety?" And I was like, "No." And then I said, "Well, what is anxiety?" And he said, "That's when you wake up in the middle of the night and you're worried about." And that was when I was going through the caretaking with my parents, and I'm like, "Oh God, yes, do I have anxiety?" And so as an entrepreneur, one of the things we tend to do is think we can do it by ourselves. That feeling that I am strong, I should not need help, or I can do this myself, is like the kiss of death. There is so much help that's out there if you ask, if you let somebody know, because you've presented yourself as being so strong. Everybody thinks, well, she can handle it.
Mm-hmm.
And so
You've been trying to create that.
they don't think of asking you, can you help? And sometimes the help shows up in the weirdest ways. It's a simple thing like, I'm going to the store, a neighbor saying, I'm going to the store, can I pick something up for you? Or it can be a collaboration that you have with a business person where you say, you know what, I'm so far behind in my marketing, can you send this out in an email to your list and help me? Right? So it comes in lots of ways, but you have to show up and you have to ask.
Right. We need to keep our eyes open for those opportunities and stop thinking. And I certainly came through, so I've had a lot of different careers, and I worked in technical theater in scene shops, with the guys, and I can do anything any guy can do, and I imagine getting ahead in the corporate field as well. There's a long time where you feel you have to prove you can do anything any guy can do just as well. And finally, we get to that place where we get to stand in our own power and say, yeah, you can help me out with that. Yeah, let me hand this off to you because I'm better spent here. This is where my energy really shines. This is what I can move the needle
Mhm.
on. Yeah, so thank you for that. I think that productivity is one of the primary issues that I see coming up. We wish we had more time in the day, and we're not asking ourselves, well, what are we doing with that time? What can we start to move off of our plate in order to make better choices and
Can I give
best
you a
utilize?
really fast exercise that
Absolutely.
people can do? If any of you are list makers, I'm going to suggest that I call it the divided to-do list.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So you start your list on the left-hand side of the page, 1 through 10 or whatever. Excuse me. But you draw a line through it. And so on the left-hand side, there are the things that you have to do. And on the right-hand side are the things that you want to do. Now, the reality is the things that you have to do will get done. They always do, you know? The things that you want to do, you don't make time for. And so what I tell people to do is put your list of the things that you want to do and start your day off with something that you want to do, right? And then do something that you have to do, then do something that you want to do, then go back. So one of the things that happens is that old law, which is true, is whatever you have to do will fill whatever time you have. When you fill some of that time up with what you want to do, you will spend less time on what you have to do, and you'll be so much happier. You will have so much. It's amazing when you start the day with one thing that you want to do, how energized it makes you during your day.
Permission granted. I love this because we do. And in so many different aspects, everything expands to fit the time it's allowed. So we have to put ourselves first if we're going to make that list at all. I
Yeah.
love this. This is a new kind of list on me, and I think I'm going to give it a try.
Oh, you should. And
Terrific.
the other piece to that is what I call the 45-minute hour, is that instead of blocking out an hour, you only block out 45 minutes. This is not something you can live with indefinitely. This is, you say, I'm going to do this for a morning because, it really gets you going. But you spend 45 minutes on whatever that project or big thing is, and then you take the 15 minutes left to do those little things that you have to do. Answer the email, make a call, and then you go back to it. And you would be surprised. It basically adds a couple hours to your day of
Beautiful.
accomplishment, not the actual hours, but the
Ooh, two fabulous tips. I love that. I love that. The 45-minute hour. I have to say, having those really clear designated blocks of this is when I'm doing this, this is when I'm doing this helps. I need some rails, especially when it comes to finding my way out of the email inbox.
right. Oh, and here's the best thing. This is probably something you could benefit for. Is if you have a meeting that's scheduled that has a hard start, the 15 minutes before that meeting is when you go into your email or go into the Facebook or whatever, because it makes you stop, right? And the last part to this is modify whatever to fit you so that it works. Because if it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work. It can be the best strategy in the world, but if it doesn't fit your personality or the way you like to work, it it doesn't work. And it's not that there's something wrong with you. It's just that you need to modify that strategy so that it succeeds.
Beautiful. I love it because we do. As we go through this journey and get to know ourselves better, hopefully we are getting clear on what works for us and doesn't. And so we can better adapt and modify and optimize that for our benefit. And I
Absolutely.
love that you were talking to, so I want to come back to the benefit of doing this with your legacy in mind, of doing this. And you mentioned, and I think it's so important, people overlook the power just simply being present for experiences.
Yes.
And so I'm so glad that you shared that too. And I hope that might spark some ideas or give people permission to daydream. What kind of experiences would they like to make time and space for?
Yes. Absolutely.
And
This has
how can,
this has been a lot of fun. Thank you.
terrific. How can people get in touch with you?
I have a giveaway, a free gift, if that's possible.
Absolutely.
It's www the one small change /GPS giveaway. It is a 20-minute video course, and it's got some bonuses that go with it that talk about how you can think about your legacy and how you can be more productive.
Beautiful. Thank you for bringing your wisdom and insights, your MBA from Wharton, and your cooking tips. It's the full spectrum. You know, we really are everything that we choose to bring to the table, and I appreciate the example that you share.
Well, I enjoyed this immensely, and I'm so glad we got to hook up at Potapalooza. That's a hard one.
I know it's a tongue twister and a fast and furious day, but this has been such a treat. I'm so glad that we were matched. I know my audience is going to love these tips and have fun taming their to-do list.
Sounds good to me. Be effective.
That's right. That's right. And enjoy more.
Can I just add one other thing?
Yes.
And that is, you're never finished. So that's a fallacy that'll make you crazy. And when the time when you're finally finished is when you're dead. So you don't want to be finished.
It's time to take the pressure off, right? Let's just take that expectation off the list. Beautiful. Thank you so very much, Yvonne. It's been a treat. I enjoyed it. Take care and enjoy the rest of your day.
All right. You too. Bye.
Thanks for joining us today. To learn more about living life with less stress and more flow, visit happifiedlife.com. Subscribe on your favorite player to catch the next episode as soon as it's out. Sharing really is caring, so please rate and review the show while you're there. And if you know someone else who would love it, please pass it along. Until next time, my friends, keep on shining.